So we just got a free update for AC Shadows, adding a collaboration event with Attack on Titan and the long-awaited Isu quest. As a huge Assassin's Creed fan since 2007, this update is frustrating to say the least. And look, this isn't a dig at the Attack on Titan event itself. I'll get to that. But the real problem is the puzzlement quest, or the way Shadows handles Isu content. It disrespects not just Assassin's Creed standards, but even AC Odyssey, a game made by Ubisoft Quebec. So let's talk about the Collab event first. I don't think Assassin's Creed was the right game for it. It just doesn't fit thematically. The franchise is full of sci-fi elements, yet Shadows barely has any, especially when it comes to Isu stuff. It should have focused on its own roots first. Then comes the execution, which is just terrible. Look at the models and the animations. Even the writing isn't that great. The only way you can turn a blind eye to this collab is by knowing that it isn't canon and that it's not a permanent quest, meaning it won't be accessible in the future. To be honest though, none of these collabs have ever been canon, which is a good thing to know. But the greater problem is that time and resources are going into these instead of solidifying the Assassin's Creed's roots. Anyway, the quest itself is not great either. You just climb a few random platforms and run from a Titan, and that's it. Even the previous event, the Dead by Daylight one, had a unique gameplay twist, but it seems like they weren't even trying with this one. Now, we've had weird events in the past games as well. Just look at the Final Fantasy collab in AC Origins. It was considered controversial back in the day, but at least you got good rewards from it and the quality wasn't bad either. But the in-game rewards for doing the Titan event in Shadows are just, I don't even know what to call them. Not just that, but you can't even fight the Titan when we had cool giant boss fights in Origins, which is a complete missed opportunity. Oh, also, as soon as you finish the quest, the game prompts you to open the store and pay $20, yes, $20 for the armor set in the Attack on Titan pack. You know, instead of rewarding you with it for finishing the quest, you have to pay for it. Now, I will touch on the microtransaction aspect and how it's affecting Assassin's Creed as a whole later on, but let's move on to the core problem, the puzzlement quest. This free quest finally brings Isu elements to this game 8 months after its release. Look, the Isu, the modern day stuff, assassin related things, including both gameplay and story, should all be present in the base game since day one. And I'm glad we're finally getting something, but I'm not happy with this approach. Anyway, as with every single AC game in history, when you come across an Isu temple, cave or structure, you're expecting to see wild sci-fi elements, a piece of Eden or two, with a proper lore attached to them. Literally every single mainline AC game was like this. But in the puzzlement, you have this cave with Isu markings on its door. Not knowing what's behind it, your imaginations start running crazy. What could be there? Are we finally going to see some new pieces of Eden that set us up for the game's next DLC? So, after running around in the world and finding 13 glyphs, the door to the vault finally opens. That's the moment you've been waiting for. Oh boy, we're finally getting that Isu thing. And then, a few steps in and you see a Spartan shield. And you move further and bam! You reach the vault cave thingy's end with 2 towering Isu structure, lots of Isu markings on the walls, and Cassandra's statue in the middle? What the hell? That was my reaction, seriously. I ran around the environment, looked at glyphs, anticipated seeing a new Isu character, lore piece or object, and all I got was Cassandra. Isu vaults are repositories of knowledge, pieces of Eden, and advanced technology. They're not shrines. Cassandra's been hunting those places down in order to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. But to see one special temple dedicated to her, where she's handing Isu weapons to total strangers? What? Who even made her statue? Who placed it there? And the most glaring mistake, why is her statue holding the spear of Leonidas? You know, because by the end of the Corfu epilogue in AC Odyssey, the spear was drained of its power and given to Herodotus for safekeeping. This statue showing it in her hand actively contradicts the established lore from the very game made by Ubisoft Quebec. Wow. Now look, I get it. It's fan service. Many fans, including me, enjoy them, but the way you do them matters as well. AC Valhalla had a Bayek reference, and it was awesome. It also had a Cassandra crossover, and it was great too. But this feels like a cheap fan service to bring players back for an hour and nothing else. I mean, I really like Cassandra, and imagine if her introduction to this game was something emotional like when Ezio finds Altair in Revelations, a unique way to connect the two games. Make her the reason the assassins, the Kakushibaiki or whatever they call themselves, gear up for a major threat in AC Shadow's second year, if that's still happening. But no, as is the case with everything else with Shadows, this aspect also leaves a sour taste in the mouth. And also the puzzle itself just has you running around in circles, looking for random rocks to see some glyphs with nothing memorable. It just feels boring, especially when in Valhalla you had puzzles and platforming challenges. I wish instead of this random nameless cave, they could at least expand with a vault now it opens at the end of the base game. The one that opens with a specific tune. It even had Isu carvings on its entrance if I'm not mistaken. They could open up a section and show us the real Isu things, but Quebec simply said nope, we ain't doing that. Now to the microtransaction issue, a serious problem in single-player games that affects gameplay even if you don't buy them. Companies like 2K, EA, and Warner Brothers have been stuffing microtransactions into premium single-player titles for years. It's a terrible industry trend. Sometimes players speak up and devs remove them or adjust the games, like with Shadow of War's infamous microtransaction fiasco. So when it hits Assassin's Creed, one of the most important games of my life, I have to call it out. I need to explain how it's ruining the game and hope my voice reaches those who care. Some people imagine that the reason Ubisoft is including store items is that a certain group of gamers buys them. So as long as there's a customer, Ubisoft makes them. They also imagine that these things are completely harmless and that you can earn them for free. But in reality, it's not that simple. You can finish the games without paying a dime for the MTX. I did that too, because I don't pay for these things in single-player games at all. But selling items that give gameplay advantages, things that outright change how you play, directly affects the game and the players. It's not just the armor sets. Booster packs and location reveals do it too. They change the gameplay and shorten the overall experience, killing player engagement. And that reveals the real problem. These games are being designed around microtransactions. The devs are intentionally making the core experience worse to sell you the solution. So in simple terms, the problem is not the people who buy MTX. The problem is the design philosophy and the intention behind the MTX store made for a single-player game. By the way, for those claiming you can get these things for free, I must say that's not completely true, because you can't earn all of them for free, because there are exceptions. Not just that, but you also have no choice on when or even what item to get for free. Besides, you have to do some of the most boring, soulless, and incredibly bland tasks weekly to unlock them. Moving on, according to Quebec's devs, they can add parkour and the Isu stuff because of the people who buy MTX, as if these things shouldn't have been in an AC game since day one. I mean, sure, we can't go back in time for Shadows, so getting it later is better than never, but if core AC pillars are being treated as afterthoughts, don't make it seem like you're doing us a favor. Don't tell me I have to pay $70 for an unfinished game with story and gameplay mechanics missing just because it's a live service with a unique business model. Don't tell me to pay $20 multiple times to guarantee the things my favorite franchise always had, supposedly for free later. So there you have it. Even if you don't directly interact with the MTX, they are affecting the game you're paying $70 for. Whether it is by the quality of content, the gameplay implementation, or the live service elements, they are affecting these games. To be honest, I don't like the live service approach for AC games. It feels like core content was cut from the base game, then added back months later as a free update instead of giving us content that truly expands the world. Look, I'm happy to pay for a $30 high quality expansion with 15 to 20 hours of content, that's fine. But I don't want poorly made quote-unquote free content shoved in as a replacement. Especially if it means no more MTX store, I'd gladly pay for expansions. And if players want cheats, make them free like in the older games. Don't sell them and don't design the games around them. This isn't a free-to-play game, Ubisoft. It's not an MMORPG. This is a premium, single-player, story-driven title. Storefronts shouldn't exist here. Make your games focused again. Let developers pour love into them instead of turning them into products designed to chase engagement metrics. You're making games for humans, not robots. This is where Ubisoft should reduce the size of their games, forget pointless quantity, and focus on quality. Give us smaller, deeper experiences. Skip the weekly grinds, bring back gameplay challenges that actually require mastery. Screw the endgame content. Save that for games like The Division or a new IP. AC is tainted enough. It's time to fix it for future entries. At this point, I don't know what can save Shadows. I just don't see the quality I expect from a mainline entry in the base game or most of its updates. Every step forward feels like 10 steps back. Animation, writing, voice acting, or predatory practices, it's all stuck in a never-ending cycle. I don't see this getting fixed here, so unless a miracle happens, I'll move on to the next game in the series. Cause here's the thing, Assassin's Creed Shadows, especially in terms of story, doesn't care about the series' core elements anymore. The Isu, the Pieces of Eden, even the assassin-related stuff, these have always been at the heart of the franchise, but Shadows barely touches them, and that's exactly why it makes me want to skip the game. The story and the vibe don't feel like Assassin's Creed anymore. It feels like a generic adventure RPG. That's the point I'm making. These things should be the focus of future AC games, especially the modern day story and continuity. If they're not there, I'd easily skip the entry, but that's a topic for another video. For now, tell me what you think about this update in Shadows.